Tomas Mauricio. Come on down. Tyler Kistner. Come on down. David Romero. Come on down. Keith L. Simpson. Come on down. You're the first 4 contestants on the BS and Beer is ready.
Hey! Gotta love that podcast show. Hey! Yeah, I love that podcast show. Oh, BS and Beer is the place to go to get all the Saints news. Hell yeah! Podcast show. Hey! Gotta love that podcast show. Hey! Yeah, I love your podcast show.
There you go. Welcome in another week, another edition. It's the BS and Beer podcast crew recording live from the SEC Sports Pub. With me today, Tomas Mauricio to my left. In the booth, Tyler Kistner, making sure everything sounds good. Listen, we have a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yep.
So I think we're going to, we always going to have our jokes. But,
You have a joke? You ready for one?
Yeah, you were supposed to have one from last week.
Well, I told you one from last. I don't remember now what the other
Okay,
one was.
good. I
That's all
kind of
right.
set you up there.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
hey.
I'll think of one. I know so many jokes, so it's all right.
From Ruston to Monroe,
Yeah.
Farmerville to Jonesboro.
There you
Grab
go.
a drink, sit back, relax, because we're about to do 97.7 Sports Talk Radio and the SEC Pub, BS and Beer style. Listen, I
That's
don't
the
know
only
where to-
style. But go ahead.
Huh?
That's the only style.
That's the only style.
Yeah.
See what I'm trying to bring in? Remember that one kid that had his own dance? It's like Asian kid that couldn't dance at all. And what? Come on, help me out, Tyler. The something
guy who
style.
sang?
Or maybe it's a song.
The Gangnam Style?
Yeah, that's
yes,
it.
yeah,
Yeah, we're
that's what he's thinking
replacing
about.
Gangnam Style.
Gangnam Style. Okay.
So today, we're going to talk a little bit. What's funny is we had what most considered the dress rehearsal, game 3 of the preseason.
No.
The Saints come out with a 36-7 victory over the Chargers. Having said that,
And don't forget, Atlanta lost. But go ahead.
and that's important too. I'm sure you see. What's funny is I don't play to the crowd like that. Man, that's good. We probably just got another 500.
Another couple of
listeners.
hits. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just from saying that, people
That's
love
right.
it.
That's right.
But Breeze started off seemed to be a little rusty. He hadn't had any snaps in preseason. Something I want to talk about a little bit. Some of these slow starts we have. Could it be that maybe just not enough practice reps or not enough game reps going into the season? But hold your thoughts on that.
All right, I'm holding them.
We have some defensive linemen still. More stuff to talk about. We have a hotline call.
Oh.
Yep.
What is that number, by the way, Dave?
701-901-1295. That's the graffiti hotline. Give us a call while we're talking about it.
Yeah.
You can email us.
Oh, what's that email address?
bsandbeer
Yeah.
at iCloud.com.
iCloud, okay.
And they can get in touch with us. We actually have an email that we can talk about, too.
Oh,
Cornell, I think he's calmed down the first 2 or 3 times. He's talking about burning things down. I think in this day and age,
Slow it down a little bit.
Slow it
Get a little
down.
calm, right.
Maybe we just stomp on it or something.
No,
we
I
don't
see.
need to burn it down.
No exploding e-cigarettes. Go ahead.
Davenport.
Yeah.
Marcus Davenport, our
Yeah.
first-round draft pick. We invested a lot into getting this guy,
Yeah.
and all we heard about how raw he was. All we heard about was, kind of came away with the impression that he won't be helping us out much this year. But he gets into his first game action, and he plays lights out. He plays.
Baldinger already broke that down.
Did he really
Yeah.
do? I haven't
Yeah.
seen it yet. I haven't seen it. Matter of fact, it almost makes me want to, just pause everything and go watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
he
was
does
really
a good job with that stuff.
Yeah.
But now listen, it's just a preseason game, but he was playing against starters. Anyway, all of it needs to be discussed because I think it's exciting. Matter of fact,
We might have to go to that extra show.
oh yeah, the extra show you're talking about.
That's
huh?
right. So if you're interested, just don't forget we have a special subscription to the bonus hour.
We don't, but go ahead.
The bonus hour is available to you. Very simply, it's all about Bitcoin.
It's Bitcoin. Listen, if you haven't figured this out yet, Tomas, he's running a scam. What he's doing, I can already
It's not
see
a
it.
scam.
Well, he's
I'm
not going to
telling
make the
you,
investment.
For the season opener, okay, for game 1, I'm going to have a wallet up and running.
Yeah.
Forget about GoFundMe page. I'm actually going to offer you something, okay? You get expert commentary from Dave, Heath, Tomas. There you go.
Okay.
And all it costs you is a subscription to the extra bonus hour.
The problem is we don't have an extra bonus hour that we offer for a subscription. See, I'm telling you,
But we will, beginning with the first game. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, well, as soon as
the wallet will be up and running.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, we got to stop this. Okay, you're getting way too serious now. It sounds like it's for real. And I'm like, I'm trying to make jokes and stuff, but I'm like, wait a minute. No, we're going to have it. You can,
Well, you gotta keep these people, they're gonna be hooked on it now.
Listen, if you haven't figured this out yet, Tomas, he's running a scam. What he's doing, I can already see. It's not a scam. Well, he's not gonna make the investment. The season open, okay?
all
I
right.
think it's good. I don't know what you're worried
Well,
about.
I mean, my point is it just went on too long.
Oh, well,
and
we'll cut it,
I'll cut it right there.
All
and
right.
and then we can make. I'll like set them straight or something. All right, you got a different camera angle. Okay, let's see. All right, let me hold on a second. Don't do anything. Let me just hear what.
I can put Bitcoin's price up there now if you want me to.
Okay,
all
do
right.
that.
Well, once Dave starts talking, I'll switch it.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so hit record.
I never hit stop, by the way. Oh,
You didn't? Listen, the problem is, see, he's trying to get everybody. First of all, he confuses them because he knows I'm confused about the whole Bitcoin situation. Like one
tried to
Bitcoin
explain
is
it
worth. Tyler, there it is. What's the Bitcoin rate today?
one Bitcoin is now over $7,000.
There you go. There you go.
See,
So your subscription of $19.99 would only cost you 0.0028.
There you
Bitcoin.
have it.
There you
you
go.
have it.
And
And,
now-
it's just the first payment is the $19.99, 0.0028. Then we back down to $9.99.
Right.
So it's just your first month. After that, it's all maintained at $9.99 a month.
I mean, here's the thing. You sound way too serious. I think you've convinced yourself that we actually have a show that people going to pay for.
0.0015 for all the other months. 0.0028 for the first
I'm
month.
telling you, he's
there you
confused
go.
you with the math. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Now that you
I'll
confused
follow up on
everybody,
that on the next show. Don't worry about it.
don't worry about it. Now you got me all discombobulated here. Listen, why don't we go ahead and get the show started?
Let's get this show on the road.
And we got
brother.
a lot of Saints talk
Go ahead.
right now. Well, Tomas.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I feel like you've really embraced the Bitcoin. So does that mean that there's not going to be any more Don Bobo? I mean, Don Bobo actually did something for the Saints. They were 0-2 when we brought them up last year, and we turned to Don Bobo for some spiritual help.
Don Bobo. Well, I'm going to tell you right now. Here's what I'm willing to do.
Okay, man. I'm just trying to make some chit-chat conversation, and he's over here cutting deals, and it's going to take him another 10 minutes of explaining Bitcoin.
I'm not going to explain Bitcoin. I'm just simply going to say that I will be happy to donate 10% of everyone's initial Bitcoin payment for the subscription.
All right.
There
How
you
about
go.
this?
I
how
gave
about
it to you.
how about we're going to start using Bitcoin
Yeah.
to describe our players.
Oh, okay. That sounds
So like
good.
how many Cameron Meredith
Cameron Meredith. He's falling down on the Bitcoin. I'm sorry.
the Bitcoin
I'm sorry.
we're going to have like a sliding scale.
He's not
every week?
$19.99 anymore. He's not no 0.0028 anymore.
Listen, I'm a little concerned.
sorry.
I'm not overly concerned.
I am.
I'm a little concerned he may not contribute early, but I think that he's still going to contribute a lot to the team.
He might contribute to another team.
No, that ain't happening. I've heard that a couple places. Listen, we
Now,
go
let me
out.
ask you a question.
Hang on, we
If
go out
the
and read.
Patriots-
Hang on.
Go ahead.
We go out
ahead.
and we read everything. We
Yeah.
listen to everything.
That's right. I do.
So that you guys don't have to.
That's correct.
That's our job.
All you have to do is follow this one.
We gather all
There
the
you go.
information,
There you go.
all the opinions.
There you
Matter
go.
of fact, we got John Hendrickson come in a little later
There you go.
and give us his thoughts. Listen, we do it so you don't have to. I'm reading and I'm seeing things on the internet about getting rid of Cameron Meredith.
Yeah.
I just can't see it. They just
Yeah.
paid for the guy. They knew he had an injury.
Yeah.
You think they're going to get rid of him already?
Well, I didn't say I thought about it. I'm just saying that these are some thoughts that are out there.
Right. I read
Okay?
those too.
You see? And I'm just saying, hey, I would say this to you. If somebody came and said, we give you a third-round draft pick for Meredith, I might say, okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Now, if they said a sixth-round draft pick, I say, well, you can go plant that with,
Okay, so then let me ask you, what has not necessarily changed your mind? Because I'm not saying that I don't recall you either being a huge fan or not a fan of the move. But who has relaxed your mind that we can do without Cameron Meredith right now?
Well, because I think right now, from what I've seen, I believe it's pretty cut and dry that the two big guys are going to be on this wide receiving core are going to be Michael Thomas and Traquan Smith. Okay. I think, without a doubt, these are the two guys that are going to excel at this particular in all our offensive plays. Okay? So that's two right there. I still don't think we get rid of Gignette. I think he stays one more year to make sure and help somebody like Traquan Smith learn the game, okay?
Right.
So then I'm down we're only going to keep 5. I'm down to only 2 picks to the left. Well, one of them's going to be Tate because Tate is going to win the so now I'm down
job.
to 1.
Okay.
So now when I go down to 1, I start looking at what we have and what we need. So where is the Lance Moore type receiver?
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
And this kid that played a lot this last week, remember, they kept him the entire season last year on the team because the coaches like something about him.
Right. Well,
So
I'll
I'm
tell you
just
what.
saying.
We can talk a little bit more about Austin Carr when we get back. It's 97.7 Sports Talk Radio. Don't go anywhere. That's my stuff right there. Welcome back. It's the BS and Beer podcast crew. Tomas Mauricio, Dave Romero, 97.7 Sports Talk Radio. Tomas, when I left off, we were talking about Austin Carr.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, and listen, if you would have said this to me 2 weeks ago, I would have just laughed at you.
Right.
Now all of a sudden, this Austin Carr thing, I mean, look, he's kind of been quiet, and all of a sudden during the game, and again, it's the biggest dress rehearsal of the preseason. The guy looked, he looked
ran
money.
good routes.
Yeah,
He
caught
the
everything.
ball.
Yep.
You know, the only thing they say is a little weak on blocking.
Right.
But,
Well, he's a smaller guy.
right. But I was going to say Lance Moore and Willie Snead weren't exactly,
Right. They're not beasts in the blocking game and in the run game.
My thought was if we're only keeping 5 receivers, then where is the possession guy? Where is the Lance Moore? Where is the Willie Snead? So
Look,
now I'm going to tell you, I don't know when we're going to do this, but I mean, I've got every position, every player. And when I sat down and tried to cut it down to 53, remember last week I gave you sort of what I thought at that point, right?
Okay.
But it wasn't really anything because I hadn't seen everybody and really analyzed. Now I've spent some time analyzing everybody through here. And I'm telling you, I can get down to 63, but getting to 53, man.
So you think there's maybe 10 guys that could find a home either on the practice squad or somewhere else?
I'm saying there's 10 guys that when we cut them, they won't make the practice squad. They won't make it through waivers.
Right.
They're going to be picked up. And that's, if you think back, I can't ever remember the Saints getting to this point where they're the cut players and more than maybe one is picked up by
and that's the
somebody
thing.
else.
Every year we have the camp beast and, this guy, there's no way you can cut him, and they always make it through. Very rarely do guys. So
I got 10
agree.
that I don't see that's going to happen.
I don't know, and I'd have to look at your list, and we'll go over that at the bottom of the hour.
Sounds
okay.
good.
Well, one of the things is that this year, I'm the one that's usually saying, no, they'll get. There are a lot of guys who will be picked up by other teams because the one thing that most folks don't realize when you're this good, there are a lot of teams. We can't afford to keep a lot of developmental people on the roster because we have good players and we're aspiring for big things.
Right.
But there are other teams out there that win 3 games, 4 games, 6 games that are like, listen, that guy improves our roster. So we are now at the point where our depth, because that's what I would say during the Charger game. The Charger game, we did not the play of the first quarter, let's say, the first team is not indicative of the final score. But what it is indicative of is the depth on our roster.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
there's no doubt that our second and third stringers were better than their second and third by a lot.
Absolutely. And that says something because usually even in the past when we had solid teams, and I say in the past, the last 10 years or so, there were times when our team wasn't great. We would do okay in the first quarter. So then all of a sudden, the second quarter, how many times we just sit there doing like, man, this is hard to watch.
Yep.
And then we end up losing. We get outscored 17-3 in the second half, or it's because our backups just simply aren't good enough.
And you're going to have injuries during the season. And if you look at the championship teams, their number 2s might not be as good as the ones, but the drop-off's not a lot.
Right.
Where in the past for us, there was a big drop-off between our 2s and 1s.
Well, and you don't appreciate that in things like in the fourth quarter when Cam Jordan is on his, let's say, has played all but 2 snaps on defense.
Right, there's no
And-
rotation,
and
no
you need
break.
some pass rush.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you just can't justify putting in a guy where the talent gap is so big.
Sure.
Now all of a sudden you have guys that you say, man, we can give him a blow.
Right.
And then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter he has just a little bit more gas in the tank.
Exactly.
One of the guys that so start off kind of quiet, Hendrickson.
Yeah.
He started off kind of quiet in preseason and there started being a buzz, and then last week, game 2, played pretty well, had made some plays. So all of a sudden, here comes game 3, and his deficiencies, all of a sudden they pop up. And the deficiencies are in the run game. And it was just so obvious on the first drive, and maybe the first and second drive, that he does not have the base to stand up against the run. Now, I got real critical on him there. I want to say what I saw of him in the passing game just tells me that, man, he's not really a base package guy. You don't want him in there on rundowns. But, man, the improvement as a pass rusher, outstanding. But I do not think the Saints can have him in the lineup as a starter on rundowns.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit.
Okay.
And this is why. Because the Saints had played the Chargers 3 consecutive days in a row. And even though they weren't scheming for, a real game, I'm quite certain that the Chargers were like, hey, we're going to run the ball. And here's where we're going to run the ball. Because we saw this,
Right.
during the games we were playing. So I think they picked on him, whereas maybe during the regular season, it won't be so obvious that they
Right.
pick on him,
And
So, and again, this brought to the play of the game for our Davenport, for our rookie, because on a running play, he got pushed to the outside. And when the running back tried to make that cut back, all of a sudden, Davenport goes, oh, heck, wait a second. And he reached out with that arm, grabbed that guy, swung all the way around and was parallel to the floor, to the ground,
right.
and brought him down.
the athleticism, Davenport displayed things that you just don't see a lot, and it just makes
you
you realize.
can't coach. See, these are things you can't coach.
Absolutely. That's one. And okay, I'd like to pat myself on the back a little bit about Davenport, and I guess we can jump into the Davenport talk now.
Sure.
Here's the thing. I said that we may not see the results in the sack numbers, but what we will see is athletic plays. And what I was talking about is like, Cam Newton, he drops back, he runs out of the pocket, and he starts getting flushed. Well, in the past, he would just get to the sideline, throw the ball away, or maybe even make a play down the field. Now, all of a sudden, you have a guy like Davenport chasing him. Yeah, he may not get the sack, but he gets there, and he's disruptive enough where
Yes.
Cam Newton can't make a play or
Right.
can't take off running. And what we saw
And he's
on that,
big enough, too, that he can,
can
get in
actually
the way.
tackle him, right.
Well,
Well-
not only that, but just get in the way of the passing
Oh, yeah,
lanes.
man, the wingspan.
Yes, exactly.
And the thing about it is the reach. Yeah, absolutely. It was just he demonstrated on that reverse.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
athleticism that
Yeah.
just made me realize that he's going to be an asset, even if he doesn't have. And this was my thoughts, not much after they drafted him. Now, all of a sudden, if you let's just extrapolate some stuff. And this was a conversation that I had with a friend of mine. 15 plays, half sack, 2 pressures, 1 tackle for loss. Now, I don't have the tackles at all. Maybe I know he had, unless
It's
they
only
counted,
15 plays.
and that's 15 plays. If you extrapolate that, you figure there's about 90 plays in an NFL football game. That
just-
means 45
So
defensive
just
plays.
say he just doubles that. Let's say
If
he
he-
takes 30 instead of 15.
If he doubles that, now all of a sudden you're talking about, what is that, 8 sacks,
Yeah.
let's see, 16 tackles for losses, 32
I'll take
pressures.
that for a rookie.
No, man, the point is that I thought he had a nice game, and it actually took my buddy Wesley to say to me, like, do you realize if you extrapolate those numbers, he didn't have a nice game.
He
He
had a
had
great
an
game.
all-world,
Yeah.
all-pro.
Yeah.
Now, listen, let's not be silly here.
Yeah.
I don't expect that
Hey,
to
he's still a
happen.
rookie. He's still got
Right.
things to learn. I could pick out things that he didn't do good in those 15
And you know what?
snaps, okay?
Absolutely. And that's going to happen a lot. And that might be some of the problem is that, like, he'll make a play, but then the next thing you know, he takes a bad angle. He doesn't squeeze down on a certain running play. And next thing you know, running back's
Right.
taking off for 30 yards.
Right.
And
Right.
so the point is there are going to be mistakes made. But what it shows you is that all this talk, he is raw. But I think that people misunderstand what the meaning of raw. How do you
Yes.
define raw?
Yeah.
Okay, so his technique isn't amazing. He doesn't have 6 pass rushing moves and the ability to counter a pass rush move that looks like one and becomes something else. But that doesn't mean the guy can't play football.
Right.
I don't think he's raw as a guy that can get on the field, be strong, fast, quick, athletic. So I think that the raw thing, I think, got everybody nervous. And it's, again, how do you define raw? He's not raw in terms that he won't be able to play. He's just raw in terms of being able to take that amazing athleticism and actually maximize it with great technique.
Okay, so I'll give you an example. The guy that you really like, Onyemata.
Right.
When he first came in, it's the same thing was said. Oh, he's raw. He hasn't played enough of the game, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Did he or did he not contribute the first year?
Onyemata, yeah, he played
did.
the first year. He
Okay.
contributed.
Wasn't great.
No, he didn't make plays, but
he still contributed.
right.
Now, and they said he was raw. So I'm going to say this to you. If Onyemata was raw, then Davenport's maybe medium rare.
right, okay.
Okay, what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
I think it's a little bit ahead of where Onyemata was his first year. So
I would probably say a lot ahead.
I'm being conservative and say a little bit ahead. But a little bit ahead, I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised to see as the season progresses, he does 4 sacks.
Man, there's nothing
5
wrong with a little
sacks,
bit ahead. So
you know.
as long as Davenport plays the way, and I shouldn't even say it, as long as he's out there and he's using his athleticism to be disruptive, even in the run game, his quickness. There was one play where he closed down, and I don't know if, looking at the stats, if that was considered the tackle for loss, but he basically came from the end position, crashed down, hit the running back.
I don't think it was that one. I think it was another one where the guy came around.
So
the outside
I don't
and
even
got him.
have his tackles. If I look on here and find out he has 3 tackles, then you extrapolate that throughout the season.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, the point is I think that he's going to offer a lot more throughout the
think so,
season
too. I think
than
so, too.
what I was expecting.
And not only offer a lot for himself, but by being a force, that's going to allow Cam Jordan and the interior linemen more opportunity as well.
Absolutely. It's free. The thing about it is you know how much one-on-one he's going to get with Cam Jordan on the other side?
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to have opportunities to make plays solely by his athleticism.
And if they have to chip somebody, you're not going to chip Jordan. They're not going to chip him.
Absolutely.
So there you
now,
have it.
And here's the other thing we haven't talked about because it's been a little bit quiet is the interior guys. Man, if you get the improvement from Rankins and Onyemata that we're expecting, if Davenport is, again, what were you expecting? Were you a guy that expected too much to begin with? Are you a guy that, was reasonable about your expectations? But if we get a solid performance, athleticism, we know we're going to get athleticism. We'll get some mistakes, but we're going to get athleticism on the field.
Right.
If the guy can get in there and
As
make
long as his technique continues to improve throughout the 16 games.
This is, and I'm not even going to pretend like it's my sole thought because I've heard so many people say it. Their numbers might be a little different, but the point is going into the season, he's going to be raw. What you're hoping is that, okay, he has 2 sacks the first 10 games, and then, all of a sudden 4 sacks the last 6 games because he keeps improving.
Well,
And
if
then-
he has 2 the first 10 and 2 the last 6, that's an improvement.
Right.
And that's 4. And if he gets 4 during the season, I'd say that was a winning season.
Absolutely. And then, but here's the key to it to extrapolate a little bit further. If going into the playoffs, he's now a guy that has significantly improved development and technique and pass rushing improvement. Now all of a sudden, listen, you might say, man, look, he only had 4 sacks the whole season or 5 sacks the whole season. But going into the playoffs, nobody's going to be able to treat him like a 5-sack guy because let's use George Johnson, for instance. George Johnson's a 5-sack guy. Going into the playoffs, you know what he is? He's a 5-sack guy, and that's how he'll be treated. But if what we're talking about happens, now you go into the playoffs, and now Davenport has to be looked at as a threat, which opens opportunities for everybody else in the line.
Exactly.
And so
exactly.
I just see...
And the linebacking core.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just see this being something that his development is going to be key for this team. And now looking at some of the things I saw, and then, we have guys that I'm not sure they're going to be ready yet in Okafor because we just didn't see a lot of them. There was a little setback with the bone bruise. How long is
It's great that he came out there and he practiced, okay? But practice isn't a game, So I'm glad that they said, no, you're not going to play the game. You just sit out. That's fine,
He's a veteran. He'll be fine.
Yeah,
He'll be
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
And I'd rather him be healthy.
Right.
Than
And
go
then
out
there were a
and-
couple of people who sat out that I wasn't aware sat out, and so
Who specifically?
peanut butter and jelly, because the first time that Williams came up, the name Williams came up, I thought, PJ, really? I didn't see that. And then I realized, hey, that's not peanut butter and jelly.
That's Marcus.
That's Marcus Williams, the cornerback,
right.
not the safety.
Marcus Williams.
Now we got all these
number 2.
Williams on this team. We got to,
Yeah.
keep
Well, we
track of
already
them.
had a lot of Williams. Now we even going into duplicating the first name.
Yeah.
So
right.
So Marcus Williams, he had an interception in the game, returned one for a touchdown. Speaking of interceptions for touchdowns, Robinson had one, but it was called back for a penalty.
Because Williams, they said, we got there too early. I've looked at it again.
No,
It's awfully close, for him being there a little early. So, but what I will tell you is this. His play in this game, cornerback Marcus Williams, now brings in the question even more, who are going to be the final cornerbacks on this team?
it's going to be. There's going to be
That's why I
some
told
good
you.
players.
I can get down to 63.
Well, and
Those last 10, though, you're like, man, how many are we going to keep in that position?
Here's the thing, too, Tomas, is that you also have so much youth, and there's going to have to be a mixture. Like, there are going to be guys who they might cut, like, let's say P.J. Williams. Let's just use him as an example. He might be a little bit better a cornerback, but when you went and drafted 2 guys, Latrell Jamison seems to be playing decent, and I'm not even suggesting that at this point he's better than P.J. Williams, but you can't just go out and draft a bunch of guys and cut them
Well, but
immediately.
now here's the thing. We drafted P.J. the third.
No, I know.
Okay,
I know, but
and Jamison and Moore are
you would
4th and 5th.
I get it, but
So,
wouldn't
I'm
you
just
say
saying
at
to
this
you.
point, I get that you spent a third on him, and listen, I'm a fan. I say I'm a fan because we spent a third. I want him to be successful.
Yes,
But
that's more
having
like
said that, you sooner or later you run out of your goodwill. You exhaust all your goodwill, and it's like, I get it, you're a third, but this guy here is on your heels, and he's a rookie, and we got to give him a shot. So at some point,
Plus, if you cut them, they're not going to make it through waivers. I mean, that's the whole thing. In the past, when we say, "Oh, am I going to make it?" We knew that, he's going to make it through waivers. We're going to sign it. But this time, we really have people that you can't really depend on them making it through waivers.
I feel
when
you.
we talk about it, I'll get you some more
all right.
specifics.
Hey, listen, when we come back, we're going to have John Hendricks with his
All right.
first of his weekly contributions to the show, so you won't want to miss that. But when we come back, John Hendricks, then we're going to talk some more Saints football.
I'm good.
Me and you, we said we had to do something. I'm sure I wrote it down somewhere. We'll figure it out,
Bitcoin.
right? 97.7 Sports Talk Radio. Don't go anywhere. We'll come back with John Hendricks when we get back. Welcome back. It's Sports Talk Radio 97.7 and the BS and Beer podcast crew. Dave Romero, Tomas Mauricio. Hey, don't forget, you know what? If you want to watch the show,
VCast,
the
brother.
VCast, man, we
YouTube
doing
it.
It's on YouTube. Just look up BSN, the letter N,
Letter N.
BSN Beer, and that's our account. And I'm sure if you just type in BS and Beer, Saints, whatever, I haven't actually looked it up. So,
And then when
but-
you go to it for the first time, subscribe. And
Yeah.
then you can get it all the time.
and it matters. It really matters.
It
And
does.
the other thing too is we probably don't say this enough to the guys listen to us on the radio. If you miss some of the show and you want to hear it, you can go download our podcast on
Absolutely.
Podbeam is the source. You can get it on
iTunes.
iTunes, Google Play,
Yep.
and actually there's a ton. The way it works, man, these sites go and they just kind of grab your podcast, so you can find it almost anywhere. Just look it up. If you have a iPhone, iTunes will do it.
Sorry if you do, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, man, I'm an eye guy. I'm an eye guy. But anyway, yeah, you can watch it. You can, Tyler shows his cute little face on there and shows us statistics and stuff.
Look at that cute face.
Wait, I didn't mean to say cute. I was looking for a different word and
That's what I'm saying. Look at the cute
yeah.
face.
Okay, yeah. Now that's Heath's seat. That right there. That's not the
That's the
cuteness.
missing guy.
That's the radio face right
Yeah,
there,
okay,
buddy.
all right,
Yeah, the missing guy. So, but anyway, yeah, check it out, man, and hit like, subscribe. All those things matter to us. We do this. How do they say that? It's a passion of love. No, a job of.
Whatever.
Hey, we do it for fun. So if you click on it, and you like it, we
labor
appreciate
of
it.
love, is that what
that's
you're trying to
that's
say?
what I was looking for.
All
Thank
right.
you. All right. So I alluded to this a little bit earlier.
Unfortunately, I do a lot of things in my life as a labor of love.
Yeah.
There's no money in the checking account.
Well, I do a lot of stuff. It's just labor. There ain't no love involved. I just have to do it.
that's
so
called a job.
That's called a job, right? So I alluded to Breeze, and maybe I wonder. I want to get your thoughts
Yes, sir.
on if maybe that some of our slow starts and what it might have to do with Drew Brees not taking a lot of snaps in preseason. Now, listen, I understand why they do it. He's an older guy. You want to save his arm. You want to let the kids get some reps. He doesn't need as much. But then I say, does he need it? He came out. Now, here's the thing. He threw an interception on the first drive. But other than that,
It was a bad pass.
it was
ugly.
yeah, it was bad. It was ugly. But he was 7 for 9 for 59 yards. I wouldn't necessarily say he was super rusty. He threw a bad ball in the double coverage. Not a good look. But having said that,
But
give
then
me your
again,
thoughts.
could he have thrown that on purpose to see how the receiver would react to catching the ball?
Okay, I get what you're saying, and I like you always have that positive spin, but there ain't no way you're going to convince me Drew Brees is going to make himself look like a fool.
They don't count. It's preseason.
I know. He just doesn't strike me as the kind of guy
Nah,
that.
I would say, too, I just think that it was a bad pass.
Yeah.
You know, and that happens. Now, this season more than others, I think that one of the reasons we saved Drew Brees' arm and time and so forth is because there was a question at quarterback. You know, we don't have anybody as a backup that has been a backup in the past. And so, therefore, it's like we have to make a decision. Now, a lot of people weren't sold on either Savage or Hill. So they were like, well, you know, who's going to work out? Savage looked like against Houston when he was playing for the Texans, right? He wasn't that. He won 1 game out of 7 starts, 8 starts with the Texans. That's not too good, okay? And he always looked like a deer in headlights. And then you have this kid Hill who has very little experience, you know? And so a lot of people were concerned, man, do we have anybody on the team at all who could be a backup? Hell, I even heard people talk about RG4 at Tampa. He looked so good in the Tampa game. There were people saying, man, why did we let him go?
Right.
You know? Well, he just wasn't in the right place at the right time. You know, now he's developed a lot, and good for him. I'm happy for him. But now, going back to whether we play him or don't. We don't. We know what Drew can do. Even if he starts slow.
But that's not the question. The question isn't if we know what Drew can do. We do know what Drew can do.
Yeah.
But could it be part of the reason we get off to these slow starts every year?
No, I don't think so. I think more than anything, it's just a question of the offense gelling. Okay, again, look right now. You're going to have only 1 wide receiver from last year.
Michael Thomas.
The other ones are gone. Hey, we got nobody else up there.
Well, again,
but he's not going to be starting. It's going to be Traquan Smith starting.
right.
Okay, so to me, that's like, okay, and Cam Merritt. Okay, that's another guy. So you're looking at 2 new wide receivers. Takes time to get on the same page and be
Develop
intuitive about what you're
chemistry.
playing. Okay, so you have that. All right, running back. Ingram's going to be out for the first 4 games. Okay, I know who's going to be back up. I'll let you know
already
later.
got to, you let us know.
I got this
You're
picked
gonna
up
key us
already.
in on it? Okay.
No problem. Okay, but it's going to be somebody new. Will he block the same way? Will he make the adjustments the same way? You know, again, I think we start slow simply because we're still trying to gel. Last year, I think we started slow because we had so many injuries on the offensive line, if you remember.
Yeah, I do remember that.
You know, so I don't think everybody was up to 100% when we first started. Okay. I think when they went to Miami, when they went to play Miami in London, I think they bonded. I think they got better, you know, physically, health-wise. So there you go.
If I had to throw in my 2 cents, I would agree with you. I would say that it probably doesn't. And, you know, the proof would be to go back and just statistically look at what Drew Brees has done. And I bet it would paint a different picture than what we see, because I don't tend to remember it being like, golly, Drew Brees was so bad. I do recall times where the offense just did not seem in sync.
And who's in charge of the offense?
And the thing about it is, like you said, it's a combination of all the things.
Yes.
Drew's not 100% sharp. He's still working things out, and it just seems like the offense sputters a little bit early.
Yeah.
And then as it catches its wind, although I don't really expect that this year. For whatever reason, I feel like there are a lot of guys who are now they're solidified in how the offensive line completely solidified. Okay, we miss an Ingram, but you're still going to have Kamara and the chemistry between those guys. You have wide receivers that have played with Drew, and I get that Ginn, his role is probably going to slide back a little bit more, back into more
If
of
he
a
makes the team, yes.
Man, you keep saying that. I don't see it, but his role will slide back into being just more primarily a deep threat, and let some of those bigger guys work that intermediate stuff so that he don't have to take a pounding. I mean, because he's no spring chicken. And so Michael Thomas, the chemistry between him and Brees,
That's already there. That's not a
done.
problem. Right.
So I have no reason to believe, knock on wood, the offensive line didn't have a lot of guys running in and out like they did last year at this time. I mean, remember last year, man, Teron Armstead and Unger, and I'm trying to remember, at the time, Streif. You know, and there's a lot of the first game of the season, Ramczyk played left tackle. You know, so there was a lot of stuff going on that the Saints were a team still trying to
In the
figure out.
third preseason game last year, we had Turner playing guard, When you think back to this, Pete wasn't playing either. Pete was pushed over to where Armstead was. So Pete was playing tackle. You had Laribas playing. You had Turner playing. You had who was playing center? I don't even remember now who was playing center. It wasn't Unger. I can't remember who was playing center. Because it wasn't Tom either, I don't think. So I can't remember. We only had like one guy, Pete, playing out of position last year in the preseason game.
Right.
If you think about it. So then first season game comes along.
Your memory's better than mine. I can't go that far back, to be honest
A lot
with
of these guys, Unger was just stepping back into it. He started the fourth preseason game and then started the regular season game. So we don't have that problem here. But we have other problems as far as chemistry is concerned because we have a lot of new players. So, but now I'm going to go back and say this to you. We lost the first two games, Minnesota, New England. Did we lose those because we didn't score enough points? Or did we lose those because our defense wasn't playing correctly?
Well, yeah, defense was horrible. And you know what? I'll also throw this on top of that as a caveat. We're talking about one team that was in the Super Bowl and one team that was in the NFC Championship game. So we weren't playing bad teams. We weren't playing teams we should have lost to.
We lost, in my opinion, we lost both of those games because of defense, not offense. So when you're saying that we started slow, I don't think we started slow. I think we just didn't have balance on both sides of the line.
Well, you're talking about the offense, though. The offense didn't start. Okay, I mean, I watched them enough, and I kind of feel like that New England game, man, we just got dismantled, and it was more defensively. And sometimes, you know what, like you put a lot of pressure on your offense when your defense can't stop them, and you're starting at your own 20 all the time, and, you know, it does get complicated.
And when you have Vaccaro playing in space, as we did the first two games.
Matter of fact, if you're thinking that the Saints weren't, like, treating us like preseason, on our second series, we had a 3rd and 7. What do they run? A draw play.
A draw play.
Let's get out of here. We don't need to
just punt the ball.
Yeah, punt the ball. Nobody's worried about it.
Yeah.
Hey, it's the BS and Beer Podcast Crew, 97.7 Sports Talk Radio. Don't go anywhere. Hour number 2 right ahead.